What's going on?
What's popping?
Oh, let's get it.
All right, all right. Ooh, wow, that's a nice hoodie, man.
Yeah, well, I can say the same thing for you, my boy. I can say the same thing for you, my boy. Hey, but hey, we're gonna let them
Man,
sit on
bro,
that. We're gonna
y'all
let them sit
messing.
on that. We're gonna let them sit on that. Y'all can just look at it right now. I can look at it.
Coming very soon. But man, how y'all week going?
Cooling, man. Just we got a special guest. That's all I've been thinking about all week. It's hump day midweek. Good way to start off the second half of the week. We got Super Bowl this weekend. That's gonna be crazy. So, you saying?
Y'all still got the Bengals, or y'all change your mind?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
getting
rocking
my
the
money
Bengals.
this weekend.
Yeah, I still like Burrow in the squad.
Hey, but I think Burrow, he gonna low key become the next Tom Brady in a sense of you can't bet. Whoa,
Somebody say
Here we
thank
I
you,
saw,
go.
bro. I'm
I
about
saw
to.
y'all face. I'm just saying, like I'm talking about in the sense of like I don't know if y'all saw that tweet, but the tweet where he got cracked his junior year against TCU, a blindside hit. It was like
Yep.
week 11. They say he didn't lose a game since that moment. So I mean,
Bro.
hey, what
Let's we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
down
he's
18
definitely
against Patrick Mahomes?
He
this.
gonna, bro.
Obviously, this one's gonna be a key one for him. You got to win this one.
Yeah. But the question is, do you think it's a wrap for OBJ, Stafford, if they don't get this one? Like, do you think
That's a lot of people you got to pay, bro, on that roster, bro.
I'm just saying, like, who do you really root for real? Like, obviously everyone wants the underdog. They want Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow to win, but at the same time, like, Matthew Stafford's a dog, man. Like,
Matthew Stafford, he put up some numbers in Detroit for a minute.
Yeah,
exactly.
They had
kind
a
of went
week.
under the radar a little bit, but
But if they don't win,
um,
if OBJ and Matthew Stafford and all them boys and Jalen Ramsey, if they don't win this one, do you see them getting back there? Like, I think this. I mean,
we'll see.
because we know who's gonna run the NFC West next year. That's all I'm gonna say.
You already know.
That's all. I ain't. We ain't gotta say
We
no. We know who's gonna run the
it's a
NFC West.
it's a it's a revenge year.
It's a revenge year,
It better be, bro. That's
bro.
all.
But look at, bro. We got the Rams. They ain't got no money. They can't pay nobody, so they gonna be whatever. The Arizona Cardinals, they quarterback don't even want to play with them no more, so he might not even be there next year. The 49ers, um, I mean, are they anything without Debo? I'm just saying, like Debo kind of put the team on their back.
Good
And
point.
Garoppolo is whatever. So they ain't. I don't see no threats in the NFC West.
It's gonna be interesting. But what are y'all thoughts on Pro Bowl? The dynamic of that. I mean, because for me, I didn't even turn the game on. Wasn't even working.
No, I didn't even pay attention to that, bro.
I watched it. I mean, I tuned in, but I ain't gonna lie. This is the first time ever. This is the first time ever. Like I left. I think I left and washed my car. I went to Brown Bear mid game. Like I was so bored. It was sunny out on Sunday, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wash my car. Do you know how bored some got to be like, you know what? Let me go wash you. Let me go wash my car.
in
So
in February.
in February, vacuumed the whole thing, the whole nine. Even got my rims. But anyways, I mean, it was cool. I mean, I kind of see where the players you're talking about, like, it's one game right before free agency, you want to risk an injury. But at the same time, like I was just telling my pops the other day, like, it's so much firepower on that field. Like, if I just want to see them for one quarter, no, not even just one drive, I want to actually see, like, Russell Wilson with Kamara in the backfield and he can dump it off to Debo, or he can hit Justin Jefferson across the slide, or he can hit Cooper Kupp on a go right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of firepower. You know what I'm saying? So it's frustrating, but you got to tune in. I'm not going to tune in, but
Yeah, I mean it makes sense because guys don't want to get hurt, like you said. We see it in the NBA All-Star game. Like they don't play like that either. So
yeah.
it's just different. It's just different now, and I think people are, I wouldn't say smarter nowadays, but people are just more mindful of, the loyalty as far as a organization, the player is concerned. It is just not guaranteed like that. So
Facts.
it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, let's get to the highlight tonight. It's our first guest speaker. Appreciate y'all that have joined so far. This is something we've been looking forward to, creating this type of space and platform for multiple guest speakers. But tonight's our first one. It's a big one. Somebody that is who I have a lot of respect for. Coach T. Ford is about to join us right now. Was a coach there when I was at UW, and here he comes. Coach Ford.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's up, Coach?
Man, I can't call it, man. Excited to be here with you guys.
Appreciate you coming on for a little bit. Like I said, y'all, this is Coach T. Ford. He was a coach when I was at UW playing. Been at Simon Fraser, been at UW, now at Idaho. Family man, super genuine person. We're super excited to have you on. When we were all coming up with a topic for this week, you're the first person I thought of. Was like, you know what? Like, we've had a lot of good conversations on and off the field. This would be a perfect kind of Kickstarter to our guest speaker panel. So y'all that are joined in and tuned in, our topic for tonight, we talked about last week, the transition. Topic for tonight is, what does it take to be a genuine person? And with skin color involved, is that really enough? So we're going to get into that. You can kind of think about that, dissect that how you will, but we're going to kind of expand a lot of topics and a lot of different dynamics tonight. But Coach, go ahead and give us a breakdown of your journey, who you are as a person. Let's get it started.
Yeah, man. So, my journey is I didn't take the easiest road. And I think a lot of my journey in terms of the coaching world, it really speaks to the grit involved when you really want something bad enough. I grew up in the Seattle area, went to Mount Lake Terrace High School. I played at Linfield. Well, it's Linfield University, but it was Linfield College back when I played. I know, Jaden. I know you guys never beat them. I know. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. A lot of teams can say the same. But then I played a little arena football. And then in 2007, I started coaching. I actually got my first coaching job at Linfield. I coached the running backs there in 2007 and 2008. And then my journey took me all the way down to Oklahoma. I coached at Southeastern Oklahoma State. Started out as a GA my first year there. I got my master's. And then after my master's was finished, I actually kind of had to expedite the process. I had to finish in the summer because the head coach wanted to hire me as a full-time assistant. So I coached wide receivers, was a recruiting coordinator, special teams coordinator there for 3 years, almost 4. I returned back to the Northwest in 2012. I was the defensive coordinator at the University of Puget Sound. I did that for 2 years with Jeff Thomas over there. And then I really wanted to try my luck in running a program, see, if I had what it took to be a head coach. So I did at the high school level. I was the head coach at Stadium High School for 4 seasons. We went from being very bad to pretty good. 0-10 my first year. We were 3-7 the next year. And then in my third year, we were, I think, 6-4. We had the first winning season there since 1993. We took the team to the postseason for the first time in school history. And if y'all don't know that much about Stadium High School been there since like the early 1900s. So it was a long journey to get to the promised land of the postseason. And then after my fourth year there, I took on the head coaching responsibilities at Simon Fraser University up there in Vancouver, BC. And then after 2 years there, I really was kind of short-lived. I wish I could have been there a little bit longer, but I had the opportunity to return back to Seattle and coach with Coach Lake at the University of Washington, where I got a chance to coach Jaden, which was an awesome experience. And he's been a real one ever since we've met. And then after the season, got an opportunity to be the running backs coach and special teams coordinator here at the University of Idaho. So it's been a road it's windy, it's been steep, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade that journey for the life of me. And so, I've got a family. I've been married now. My wife Shannon and I will be married for 12 years, coming up in May. I've got 2 little kids. I got an 8-year-old daughter who's in hoops right now, doing track and hoops at the same time. She's a little athlete herself. And then my son, he's 4, going on 14. But he's amazing as well. He's going to be running his first year of track this year. He did basketball as well. So kind of an athletic family, man. My youngest brother, Tracy, he's the CEO of Ford Sports Performance there in Bellevue. My younger brother, Reggie, he was my offensive coordinator at Stadium when we were there together, and the receivers coach, running backs coach at Kennedy Catholic over these last 4 or 5 years as well. So, we definitely have a sports background in the Ford household. There's been plenty of battles in the Ford household between the three brothers, but we're a very close-knit family, very, very, very lucky and blessed to have such a great family, not just my immediate family, but my brothers and obviously my parents as well. So it's definitely been a rocky road, but again, I wouldn't have traded for the world.
It's a journey. It's a big journey.
Big journey.
Talking about just going from one to the next and sticking with the process, sticking with the journey. It's not easy to do. It's not for everybody. So
no, definitely not.
Props to you on that.
I appreciate that. I tell young coaches that all the time. I say, if you really want to make it in college football, you just have to be willing to take risks. When I took over at the University of Puget Sound calling the defense, we were 0-10, and then a couple of years later, they're 6-3. And I felt like I had a huge part of that. At Stadium, we talked about the resurgence there. Simon Fraser hadn't won a game in almost 4 years before I took over. And we won the first one that we played. So, I think, that journey and the willingness to look at a situation, not for what it is, but what it could be, has definitely really helped me along my journey. And I think it's no different at Idaho. I think Idaho hasn't had a rich history of success over these last couple of years. But I think going back to the Big Sky has been a huge, jump for them in terms of getting back to the level of play that should be at. And so I'm really excited to help the Vandals become a playoff contender here in the next couple of years as well.
No, that's awesome. That's outstanding. I think that just the resilience is a big thing. And obviously all of us know just being an athlete, it's not something that I think it's something people overlook. Just the grit and the hard work that it takes, whether it's being a coach, being a player. It's a lot of work, and you got to be a self-motivator and someone that can just grind things out, whether things are going good or bad. Things are working out your way, you're meeting your goals. There's always that striving to be great in that process. So I know Walt had a question for you regarding kind of your process in this.
Yeah. But yeah, just hearing your journey, man, like, I'm dying to ask you this, but like our last previous episodes, we talked about transition, like the transition period from going from, we kind of just spoke on really our age group, kind of like that transition from, going from college or going from school to the workforce, or the workforce into school, and or how you mesh them together. Either one you choose, it's going to be an awkward transition because it's something you're not used to, and it's going to be kind of scary at first. And I'm someone that prides myself on consistency. So, and just hearing your journey, man, like you got a crazy journey, so basically my question is, like, can you just explain your transition period? From going from, I guess you can say from, I say this your most recent one, from UW to Idaho. Just like explain like what the doubts you had and how you kept yourself going, how you kept yourself motivated, and just go dive deeper then on that.
Yeah. Well, I think, to touch on it a little bit, that transition period is also always difficult. And it makes it even more difficult when you have a family. These basically last month and some change, I haven't really been home, and my family's still in Seattle. Thank goodness they're moving over this way, very shortly here this weekend. And so, those are the things that you don't hear about. You don't hear about how when I was a graduate assistant making $500 a month, how my wife was the one, really holding us afloat. She was in medical sales for for over 10 years. And she finally decided that she wasn't going to go back to work after we had our son. And, I think that part of it is the stuff that people don't realize. They think, oh, these coaches, they're getting paid all this money and it's all glitz and glamour. But in reality, it's not. It's packing up boxes. It's saying goodbyes. It's moving to a whole nother state, city, country, for me, in my case. Right. And so, I think just the transition period is always difficult when, kind of speaking more specifically to, transitioning from Washington to Idaho. it was different. The new staff came in at Washington, and Coach DeBoer was very awesome with me. Kind of let me know kind of the deal, like, hey, don't think you're going to be in this same role that we had before. I might have something for you in a different role. Wasn't a role that I was comfortable with, right? I didn't want to be too far removed from the coaching and being on the field and things like that. And so, there was a 3-week period. I'm like, man, am I even going to have a job? And I'm looking around like, shoot, my contract's up at the end of January. I hope I can find something. And so, that worry, that kind of panic a little bit, like, man, kind of self-doubt a little bit, right? Am I good enough? Do other programs want me to be a part of their program? You go through all that stuff. All those emotions kind of came through. And, I think my wife has really been my rock in all this, because she just kept telling me, she's like, you're fine. Trust me. You got to know your worth. Don't just take a job just to take a job.
Exactly.
And so, we looked at a couple of different jobs. There was some options where maybe, go down a level, maybe go back to Division II, and kind of looked at that stuff. And, finally, got a situation to stay at the Division I level. And, I took it rolling. Coach Jason Eck is our head coach here at Idaho. And he really spoke to me because he understands that struggle. He has been at a lot of different places. He's been at Division IIs. He's been at, FCS schools. And, he really kept talking about, hey, this is going to be a family deal. We know it's not just you. And I thought that really spoke to me, because when I ran a program at Simon Fraser, I was kind of the same way. I really wanted the families to be involved, because when you go through that transition period and you have a family, it isn't easy. And so you got to really, weigh your options and make sure that you're making decisions that are not only good for yourself, but they're going to be good for your family as well. And so, that transitional period is always difficult, and it comes with a lot of worry, it comes with a lot of stress. But, kind of like you said, Walt, when you are consistent and you believe in your abilities, those are the things that are going to carry you through those transition periods.
Mm-hmm. And like baby steps are necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone wants to take that big jump. It's not going to happen overnight. You may not get that call at that exact time, but as long as you take those steps to that vision, to that goal that you need, like, okay, I want to coach. I'm going to do everything I need to do to be able to coach. Maybe I can't just get that big job tomorrow, but like you said, maybe I got to go down. You weighed out your options. You saw the whole platform. Okay, maybe I got to go down one, or if I got to change a division or a conference, something like that, and your journey is still going. So that's dope.
I think at the end of the day too, it really requires you got to be strong in who you are as a person, your identity, because a lot of these like adversity, challenges, struggles happen to a lot of people, and some people just can't handle it. Yeah. And that's not a knock on anybody, but it really requires you to be solid in who you are as a person. And I think what you said, and what we can see and hear from what you were telling us, is you had a strong support system.
Very, very much so. Very much so.
And that's crucial. Having that support and encouragement behind you, having people trust in you, not only who you are as a person, but what your goals are and what you're going for.
That's 100% right. I know before I took the job at Simon Fraser, I really wanted to get back into college. I missed recruiting. I loved what we were doing at Stadium. I really loved coaching the kids. I wasn't in love with teaching, not the actual act of teaching, but just kind of some of the things that go on in a very large public school system like Tacoma. I wasn't really feeling. And I was ready to, take a NAIA job paying me like 25 racks, man. And my wife said, don't do that. Like, know your worth. Like, trust me, you'll be fine. Apply for the jobs you think that you'll be really good for, and something will happen. And I applied for the Simon Fraser job, and I went from being a high school head coach to a D2 head coach overnight.
That's big. That's really big. I know Jay had a question regarding the next steps of your journey. So go ahead and take it from here, Jay.
No, I actually got 2 questions for you. But first question, what's the dynamic like being a black coach, dealing with the university, with other coaches, with your players? And then what is the challenges of being a genuine person as a husband, as a wife, as a father, or a husband, as a father? And then how you translate that into being a genuine coach to your players?
Well, I think to answer your first question, obviously there's been a lot of talk as of late especially in the National Football League, about black head coaches. And I think it's definitely one of those things that's almost it's heard but not said. I think there's a lot of stereotypes and barriers that, especially in college football, that black coaches, have. I think one of the most common misconceptions about black coaches in college is that, oh, well, they're great recruiters, but they're not good at X's and O's. And I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but last time I called offense, we was 12th in the country in passing.
Oh, yeah. I mean? Tell him, coach.
You know what I mean? And I just know that those type of things are definitely present. I don't think it's as in your face, as maybe it would seem on the outside looking in, but it's definitely subtle. And as we all know on this call, subtle racism is racism. I mean, it is what it is. There's no defining difference when we talk about racism, but it's definitely there. I think I've kind of seen it just, even just being a coach on the sidelines. I remember, my first head coaching job at Stadium, and I had mostly a black staff, and we didn't necessarily get a lot of the calls that I thought were pretty easy to make. And I even remember one specific referee saying something about, you guys just pipe down, you talk too much. And I knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
He didn't say it, but I knew what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that those barriers certainly exist. But I also think there are a lot of really good coaches that are not black that don't see that as an obstacle at all. I know I've been really fortunate to be a part of staffs where the head coach never made me feel like that. And in fact, in a lot of ways, he made me feel like my ethnicity, my blackness was a major asset. And it was something that that they would celebrate and really want to promote, because they wanted to make sure that especially student athletes and their families understood, like, hey, I've got really good coaches. I don't care what color they are. Right. And I think I'm on a staff that's like that way right now. I think at Idaho, we really value diversity. We really value differences in people. And obviously with the over kind of arching themes, they're still there, but I don't feel that at all at the University of Idaho. I really feel like this is a place that really values differences and other cultures. And then, to kind of speak to your second question about just being genuine, I think being genuine is something that's a lost art. And sometimes people think that you're being overly nice, but I just really don't know any other way. I learned a lot of this from my time at Linfield, where it was really, they asked, what's the recipe for success at Linfield? If you guys didn't know, viewers, Linfield just finished its 65th consecutive winning season this past year. It's the longest streak in all of college football. And really, it's two things. Number one is you work hard and you treat people right. And so that's just kind of something that's been ingrained in me. And I've always been a coach that, I'm not afraid of the term player's coach. I don't think that that is a negative connotation in any stretch. Because to me, a player's coach means you put the player's needs above your own. And I think that, to me, has allowed me to build really genuine relationships with our players. And I think if kids know you care, they're going to play as hard as they possibly can for you. That old saying, I know it's a little cliche, but right, they don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And that's something that's really important to me. I would really hope that anyone that's ever played for me could say that, like, hey, Coach Ford cared about me more as a person than he did as a player. Because at the end of the day, football is what brings me together with a lot of these players. But when they leave and they're done playing, I want it to be like very minimal. We may talk some stories about, hey, remember that one practice when this went down, right? And we're laughing and joking. But I really want to know more about what's going on in their lives. If they get married, like, I'm trying to come to the wedding, man. I'm trying to get on the dance floor. You know what I'm saying? If they have a child, I want them to feel comfortable. Like, hey, coach, I just had a son or a daughter, and they send me a picture of their son or daughter, because, again, those pieces are what I would call transformational, right? I don't want to be a transactional coach. I'm not about what can they do for me, and once they've done that, I'm done with them. I want to be transformational, where I can be a part of their lives for way longer than when they're playing for me. I got two really good examples of a guy that I coached at Linfield. He's actually the head coach at Tualatin High School down in Oregon. They just went to the state championship game this year for the first time in a long time. And, him and I, we talk probably 4 or 5 times a week. Another guy that I coach at Southeastern Oklahoma, he actually moved his family from Oklahoma up to Washington to come coach with me, be my defensive coordinator, our 2 best years that we had at Stadium, large part because of him. I joke with him all the time. His wife is a Tacoma PD, and he's in education. And in Oklahoma, those 2 professions, they don't take care of them like they take care of them up here. So I joke with him all the time. I said, man, you mess around, come up to Washington, you guys got rich, man. You guys got a house in Gig Harbor now, kids, So, but those are the type of relationships that really are important to me. And I think if you really, again, show players that you truly care about them, and you don't just, come on, you guys been a part of teams where it's a family, but they don't do nothing to provide a family atmosphere, right? That's the opposite of what I do. I just had a great meeting with my running backs and kickers tonight, and I kind of told them, I said, guys, I don't want you to stop by my office just to talk about football. Like, come by the office if you got free time just to shoot the breeze, Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I care much more about these guys as people than I ever will about them players. I mean, it's great. Obviously, I'm going to be juiced when they score a touchdown, but I'm going to be really excited when they get married. Be really excited when they get that degree. So, that kind of, service type attitude, that's really what I'm about, man. I'm here to serve the players, and they know that pretty early with me.
Yeah, I think I just think that's awesome. And I can attest to it as a player, You and I have had a ton of great conversations, and I can truly say here today that, it's always been about life, like outside of football. That's what's come first. And I think what's kind of a lost art for some people, especially when you start out in high school, because at least for myself, I don't know about other people, but when I was getting recruited by certain colleges, I was like, these people really care about me. They want me here. They're really about me. But as you start to get older, especially when you get into college, you kind of see, hey, they're not living right now how they said they were when they were recruiting me. So I think when you come across coaches like yourself that really care about people, have a genuine heart, want to see other people succeed outside of football. And this is something we talked about the past couple of episodes, is at some point sports, our passions in this life end for everyone.
Yeah.
They all end.
Yep.
But it all comes down to what you get remembered for is how you treat other people. That's all you get remembered for. There's some guys that were great sports players, men and women, and they pass away, and people don't really respect them. It wasn't really about how they treated others, but that's what's key to having that relationship and carrying that legacy, I think, is what's so important. But I think
that's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jay.
No, go for it.
No, I was going to say, I think that's really important. I think, one thing that always sticks out to me is, people may forget a lot of things. They may forget what you told them, forget what you taught them, forget what you coached them to do, but they will never, ever forget how you made them feel. And I think that's something that I really, take great pride in, where, I want guys to know that, hey, if there's a day you don't believe in yourself, there's going to be someone who believes in you, right? And I want to be that kind of that resource to guys where they can give me a call out of the blue, 2:00 in the morning, coach, man, I just need someone to talk to. Matter of fact, I got a really great relationship with one of my high school guys that I coached back at Stadium. I think when I left Stadium, he was a sophomore, and he was kind of a kid that wasn't always doing the right things as far as the discipline stuff. He's a very smart kid, but he had kind of had strong-minded, right? And him and I, we've stayed in contact ever since those days, and he still calls me when he's having tough days. He has tough days. Now he's in the workforce, and he's dealing with bosses and payroll and all kinds of stuff. He has tough days, and he still will call me or text me, coach, man, I'm just really struggling, man. Can you talk? Yeah. And I want to be there for him whenever he has those days, because I'm the only person he could talk to that way, right? And I'm good with that. I always want to be a resource for people that have either just really doesn't really matter however the relationship started. I just want to be there for them and have them understand that there are people that care about you. There are people that don't want anything from you and just want to help you succeed.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think as we're on the topic, just being a Black coach, I know Wall, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I know Wall had one more question regarding that dynamic too.
Yeah, speaking on that, I just want to ask you about like your recent posts on Instagram. You know, like you've been posting about just historical Black people, and then obviously like there's some people that are educated on, and some are not. So basically, I just wanted to ask you like, what are you trying to for your followers? You know what I'm saying? Because I know you probably have a diverse group of people that are following you. So what are you trying to push, and what type of message are you trying to let these people know?
Well, I just want to, really push the message that like Black History Month is really great. And I appreciate it every year. And I think it's a great time to bring awareness of the contributions that, especially in America, that Black Americans have made. I
Yeah,
think that we're in this weird climate where like Black folks, some people don't think Black folks are American.
yeah,
And I just really want people that follow me to see these posts and read about, some of these, inventors, businessmen, people in entertainment that have really not just changed their particular, genre, for lack of a better term, but have changed the dynamic of really what it means to be American
yeah,
and what they've provided for the culture of this country. And I think when people are able to do this stuff, because I mean, even myself, like I am still very ignorant of plenty of things that I'm still learning. Like a lot
exactly.
of
Yeah,
it is
because
like
it's not taught in our education system.
It's not.
it's not at all. And I think for me, just bringing that awareness, because there's a lot of times that I'm posting stuff that I just found out about, where I'm like, wow, I didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want that awareness to be there. I also just want people to understand that, hey, this is important American history, not just
Yeah,
Black history.
Right.
exactly.
Right. Hey, as we're breaking these down, for those of you who are still on, go ahead and ask your questions in the comments. We're gonna go ahead and cover 2 questions today. But I think what you said, Coach, on just being aware of not only just Black History Month, but role models that have really
Yep.
impacted not our individual lives, but our country. And as I was saying, it's just not taught in the education system. For myself personally, like just having that representation, I didn't have my first Black teacher until I was a sophomore in college. So it's like when you don't see that in our education system, and obviously it's different depending on where you are in
Right.
the world or country, but
Sure.
having that representation and seeing people that actually made a difference and made an impact, I think is huge.
No, representation is such a big thing. I know, I talk with my wife all the time, and my wife is white, right? And so, and she really believes in this stuff as well. She really considers herself being educated and wants to continue, educating herself on Black history because her children are Black, right? At the end of the
Right.
day, they are mixed children, but the world looks at them as Black children, right? And one thing that really spoke to me was with the representation piece is something as small as like Miles Morales, man. And when I was growing up, Spider-Man didn't look like me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
my son, we bought him a Miles Morales suit,
yeah,
and he has that person to look up to
yeah,
say, hey, people like that look like me are superheroes, right? And so I think, like you said, Jaden, that representation really matters, and it's really important for us as young Black men to provide that message and show and be role models for the next generation. That's why I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, you guys are doing a phenomenal thing, just bringing awareness to just these conversations that might not be had otherwise, right? And so, you guys are living proof of what representation really looks like. And, I think there's probably going to be, a 16-year-old kid that watches this podcast and goes, man, I want to do a podcast. I want to talk to people and educate others about the things that are going on in my world. And I think, again, that representation is not only important to, our children and people that look like us, but to everybody that's in this country,
Yeah.
because they need to understand that it does not matter the color of your skin. That's not a determining factor of you being impactful on other lives.
No, it's very true. It's very true. And like you said, it doesn't matter what your skin color is, because at the end of the day, as we said in our last podcast, we're all people at the end of the day. We all breathe the same air. We all have the same daily habits. And that's just what it is. People need to start looking at others for their character and who they are and how they treat other people instead of just their outer appearance. But for our first question, as we get into it, Someone
Yeah.
asks, Coach, what's your favorite college football memory? And then we'll cover one more question and wrap it up.
Man, shoot, as a player, it probably had to be that my senior season when Linfield, we took it and we went all the way, man. We won a national championship that year. And I think one thing for me that stood out was, I was the starting running back. My junior season had one of the better seasons in Linfield history. My senior season didn't necessarily go as planned, right? I kind of had a couple of injuries, and then in our playoff run, I actually got injured for the season, and I didn't even get to play the national championship game.
Mm.
But what I remember is a guy that was my running mate, Riley Jenkins, man, he transferred from Oregon State, was my guy. He balled out, and I felt like I had just as much of that, watching the receivers ball out, because low key, I wasn't supposed to practice and stuff, but I put a little club on. I was out there playing some scout team corner, but I felt like I was every bit a part of that national championship game, that national championship run, as our starting quarterback, who happened to throw 63 touchdowns that year. But
Wow.
yeah, he was really good. Brett Elliott, man, he's the offensive coordinator at Linfield now. But no, I think it's one of those things that I really remember. Not just the wins and all that. It's like the little things, like seeing someone that you played with and maybe felt like, hey man, I probably should play more, right? Being a backup is not easy necessarily, and then when he was kind of the baller at the national championship game, was awesome. It was really awesome to see that, and so some of those memories really stick with me a long way, for sure.
I appreciate that. I think that's so crucial, as we've been talking about this whole episode, is just sticking with things. And there's going to be times you hit adversity, and we actually have a question regarding that in the comments. Can you tell us about a time you faced adversity and turned it into an advantage, or turned it into a positive?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of my childhood was kind of adverse. My mom is from the Philippines, and my biological dad, Thomas Sr., he was a merchant seaman, so he wasn't home a lot. He'd be gone for 3 months, be back for a month. And so there's 3 of us. And so my mom, she's Filipino. She already doesn't look like the other people in our neighborhood. And she got 3 little black kids running around, right? To me, that was probably some of the hardest times growing up. Shoot, I'm not gonna lie, sit here and put, try to avoid the subject. When we was on food stamps, that was back when they actually had colored money. I remember times when my mom would have me get some eggs in one line, my brother get some eggs in another line, because the limit was 1, right?
Yep.
And so those type of things like that. Yeah, I see you, John Boy. I see you on there, Panoy. You already know. But those type of things, to me, those were difficult times, but they really shaped who I am. Watching my mom literally work her butt off just so we could play basketball, just so we could be on the baseball team and the football team, and travel around and do stuff. And she literally would spend her last dollar to make sure we could do the things we wanted to do. I mean, I think those type of things for me have really kind of molded me and shaped me as the man I am. And then when my stepdad, Edward McGee, came into the picture when I was about 13 or 14, after my parents had got a divorce, he really showed me how to be a man. And what I mean by that is, not some oh, you got to be hard all the time. No, it's quite the opposite, right? You have to be willing to say when you're wrong. You have to be humble. You have to have humility. You have to have these things that society is telling you shouldn't be, but those are the things that actually make you a man. And so, kind of growing up in a household that didn't have very much money, and then having a chance to be with my stepdad and help raise me and my younger brothers, those are things that were really hard at the time.
Yeah.
Right. At first I'm like, oh, I don't know, this guy's not my dad. Right. But then those really hard times are actually what shaped me to be the man that I am today.
No, I love that story, because it just shows, where you are now, how far you've come and how far your family's come too. I think that, a quote that I love is, tough times don't last, but tough people do.
That's right.
And that's a true testament of that, because I think it can come down to one word, is just gratefulness. From where you started to where you are now, it's such a huge jump, and a testament of everyone's work and the support you had around you, and just not giving up, not giving in. So really appreciate those answers. I know we have other questions here, guys. I see a few more, but if you can go ahead and put that in the poll on the account, on the Instagram story, that would be much appreciated. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap up. We are out of time. But, Coach, again, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. It's always great talking to you and seeing you. And I hope that you all join us for our recap next week.
Guys, the pleasure's all mine. I appreciate what you guys are doing. This podcast is awesome. I'm going to be definitely tuning in. You guys got me hooked, man. And I'm getting in on the ground level now. So when y'all make it big, man, don't forget about your boy, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Jalen. Appreciate you, Walt.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Coach. Y'all have a good one.
Guys.